Today I'm going to talk about the difference between formative and summative assessment. First, I'm going to talk through no red ink as an example of formative assessment, and then I'll be going quickly through a quiz I had to take on iLearn as a summative assessment. But first, let's talk about formative assessment. So if we were going to use an analogy to talk about formative and summative assessment, we would say formative assessment is when the cook tastes the soup, and summative assessment is when the customer tastes the soup. So if we're looking at formative assessment, we would think formative assessment is something that's used to modify instruction. It's used to check for understanding. If students understand it, then we could probably go on to the next section. Or if they don't understand it, then we would go back and reteach the concept as a whole or aspects of the subject that we had learned. So let's see how we could use formative assessment with no red ink. So here is a fake little class that I made, and now we will be seeing a little student that I made whose name is Sally Sanderson, and let's check Sally's progress. So you're going to see right here that Sally's not doing very well. At least she didn't with this assignment that we gave her. Knowing this, let's look at the assignment and the quiz results. So you're going to notice that her score here is different than her score on the other page because this shows the first practice. This shows her highest score that she got. But you're going to notice even though she got check marks across the board saying that she got them right, there's a little 2 right here. That means that it took her 2 attempts to get the answer correct. And you'll see that her first answer was world's largest pizza party as an adverb, but the correct answer was tonight. The second time she got tonight correct. So knowing this, we'd see, I don't know, maybe Sally has the concept. And if the majority of your class was like this, then you would just continue. Versus if they were all in the reds and you saw all of these things through their little boxes saying how they got it wrong or they couldn't get it right or they didn't even answer, that may show certain parts of the lesson you may need to reteach, or if you just need to reteach the concept altogether. So now let's look at summative assessment. So remember, when we're talking about summative assessment, that's when the customer tastes the soup. It's the final product. When we get a meal, we don't expect the cook to come out and be like, oh, I forgot to add this. Does this taste better? It's the waiter hands us our food and that's our food, you know? So it's when the customer tastes the soup. It's the final product. We can't go back if we're thinking about this at the literal, more educational level. We can't go back and reteach, or we don't typically. We consider this to be like an end of unit test, versus with formative tests, it was more like questioning the students and then maybe modifying your lesson plan based on if they answered correctly or by an assignment that they had before their big test, and we could fix those problems as they came about. But summative assessment, we don't really curtail instruction afterwards. We use that as the final measurement. So that's a brief lesson on formative and summative assessment. And thank you guys for bearing with me while I also used this little fun thing called Screencast-O-Matic. So have a magical day.